Christopher Rosen for Gold Derby. I'm here with Barry Keoghan, an Oscar nominee for the Banshees of Inishirin, whose new film is the excellent movie Saltburn. Barry, when you first read this script by Emerald Fennell, I guess, what were your initial thoughts about Oliver and how complex of a character this is?
When I first read it, I was amazed at just the different ranges and different layers to Oliver, and how much I had to play with. That really excited me the most about how I could dig my teeth in, and there's so much to use and go with in the script. So yeah, I was just excited reading it. I was like, wow, this is a once in a lifetime kind of role. But yeah.
When you're kind of prepping for a character, I guess, how do you build, how do you research it, I guess, or how, obviously it's a fictional character, but are you thinking, do you start immediately thinking about just how he would be and stuff? How do you build a portfolio, I guess, for this kind
I think approaching every character with the same commitment and the same work ethic and drive, and is how I do it all the time. It's I don't really look at how is this different, or he's massively obsessed. I think it's humanizing him and trying to bring him down to earth and making him real, and every action that he does justified. With this one, I had 5 Moleskin books, and I kind of had Oliver 1 to 5, and Oliver 1 represented the start of the movie, Oliver 2 the mid-start, Oliver 3 the middle, and then so on. And each book would contain a different physicality, or a slight change in the mood, or his motives, or just different kind of acceleration to him. So when I come across a scene that day, I can go, okay, that's Oliver 4, and then kind of tap into that, because I wanted that arc to kind of be very, very, very visible and that. So.
Yeah, I was thinking watching it too, because you're that's interesting that you said it, because it feels like there's so many different, obviously as the movie goes along, so many things about him are revealed, but it's all stuff that you're kind of seeding throughout, that it's basically you're playing, it's almost like he's an act, it felt like he's almost like an actor, right? Because he's never actually really himself. And I just found that really fascinating to think about you having to do that, even though he's obviously not an actor. I just thought all that was it's really complex and a lot of fun to watch you kind of negotiate.
The only time he's himself is when he's gone to his mother and father's house. I think he's really stripped back and, exposed, and, that's when we see the real Oliver. And that's the only time we kind of see him as himself, really.
That's really interesting. I was going to ask you about later. Obviously, there's so many incredible moments in this film for you and the character, and it's very outlandish. I know you've talked a lot about them. One of them that is obviously a standout is when Oliver, for lack of a better word, is having sex with the fresh grave, and it's so shocking. But then you get this incredible traumatic response, and he's so heartbroken. I was is that to me felt like his. It's it felt like a genuine emotion from him in that moment, which I think maybe he hadn't shown previously.
Yeah, I think that moment he's confused and he's lost and he's searching for an answer, and this thing he needs to fulfill, and he's just broken. That moment I would agree with you that I think it's another moment where we see him really stripped back and himself. He's just beat down, and I think he's searching for what is it that he needs to do, or this obsession with where do I take it, and but he's totally broken in that moment. It is quite sad.
It really is. Was that beyond the act or the physicality of it? Is getting I felt getting into that headspace would be also very traumatic if he was an actor. How do you are you able to detach from that, I guess? It's a really emotional moment. Yeah.
That moment was, I remember that moment. I was on page, it was the kind of, with your hand, I was supposed to just basically put my hand into the soil, and I felt I needed something more. And I felt I needed something that I couldn't put my finger on, basically. And I wanted to get that on screen. I wanted that to translate on the screen, that I don't know what it is that I have to do, but I'm going to just see where my body takes me. So I remember asking Emerald for a close set and saying, look, let me just see where this goes. And I just felt he thought that was the right thing to do, or you know, and it didn't really fulfill him, and he's just broken. He's just again, you know, really, really confused. But yeah, it's tragic. You know, he's in love, or he thinks he's in love, or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's one of. I mean, like another thing I wanted to ask you about you in general, and in other films that you've done. I think you engender great chemistry with your fellow actors. For however
There was great chemistry in that scene, anyways, in that grave scene.
well, great chemistry with the soil. It's awesome. It's like the PhD.
No, Jacob played it. He played a blinder in that scene, I think.
What I was going to ask you is like, so you have this, obviously, and the thing with Oliver, you have all those relationships with them, all those major characters is slightly different. So you have obviously like Oliver and Felix, but the Oliver and with Archie's character and Allison's character and Rosamund's character, all of those relations are different, and all of your chemistry with those actors is slightly different in tone. And I just found that again, like so wonderful to watch. You have to navigate all of those different relationships, and I guess like is that something that you're able to just like work with the actors on individually, or
chemistry is different, isn't it, with everyone? I mean, you've kind of got an act on for each person. You know, when I go to the store down the road, I have a different Barry to when I'm at the concierge, or when I'm chatting to my friend, or you know, we have different kind of versions of ourselves, and I think I wanted that to seep through as well. That he knew where he stood with all of these characters. You know, with Anishi, it was just pure power and domineering. With Archie, he was the most fearfulest with Archie, because I felt Archie, you know, could see right through him. You know, so with each character, he knew where he stood, and I just wanted to kind of make that quite, you know, seen.
Other thing Oliver, I was wondering is like you're also real in addition of like obviously I think you're always like you're very like verbose act. I think you're really great with like obviously like a lot of dialogue, but in this film too, Oliver is like watching so intently, and you have to like really kind of a lot of you thinking, I feel like, and I guess is that like judging and thinking and watching and planning. How did you kind of like plan for that, or like how do you kind of approach that?
I think the most interesting thing to watch on screen is someone listen or observe. You know, not to say that as soon as they speak or dialogue comes out that it's not interesting, but for me it's watching someone, you know, observe and listen. So when it came to those kind of scenes, I just felt really, really good, and just, you know, they're the most comfy scenes for me. You get to show a lot by listening. So yeah, and he's an observer, Oliver. He watches, he's watching for his next move. He's studying. It's a big experiment to him, basically.
Did you have like, I don't know, did you have other, or do you think like, did you have like other performances that you're like, oh, that was like, this actor did this is something that like, not that you're, you know, that you would be inspired by or something with this? Like, did you have any comps for this?
No, I didn't. You know, being honest, I don't like to watch and sort of like, you know, take inspiration from other stuff, because I don't want to, you know, I feel if I do that, then when I get uncomfy on set, when I get stuck in a moment, I'll resort to that and kind of imitate that, because I feel then, oh yeah, that's how they done it, so I'll start imitating that. So I want to keep it fresh, and, you know, if I get stuck in a moment, I want it to come from an instinct, or, you know, solely from me, if you get me, rather than, oh, this performance is like this, so I feel that they do that. And, you know, even like, I know it's being said about The Talented Mr. Ripley and stuff like that, but I didn't go watch that movie. I didn't do that to tap in or anything.
I would say, like, having watched, I mean, like, it does feel like an original. That's why I was wondering, because I was like, it's so. This is such an. Even though I've read the, obviously, I understand like the Talented Mr. Ripley comps, maybe, but I was just like curious about that too. The other thing, I mean, you have, like we said, like there's a lot of outlandish stuff here. Was you having to sing karaoke? Was that a moment that you were nervous about at all?
Yeah, singing and dancing. You know, not being naked, you know, but the dancing, because I'm like, you know, how do you move your hips in a certain way, or how do you know, I just feel they're the most, I don't know, the most vulnerablest moments. the moments where I'm like, I really have to, I don't know, just show. It's the singing and the dancing was the challenge for me. Not that I had to do a lot of it, but those two scenes in particular, yeah.
Yeah, I was the dancing obviously is incredible too.
It kind of helped that Oliver wasn't good at singing as well, so I didn't have to do much for that, you know.
Are you a good singer though?
No. That's what I'm saying. I was like, oh, Oliver's not a good singer. Okay, I'll play him not a good singer then. When I didn't, I just had to basically be myself.
With the dancing, obviously that's a great moment. Also at the end, it's an incredible song and stuff. And like you're saying, like it's something that's not maybe natural. You're going to be maybe personally insecure, but he's so open in that scene. And I guess like how much rehearsal did you have to do in that just to get the dance down beyond being naked and stuff?
Just get the steps, isn't it? With Polly Bennett, and she was incredible. Just to get the steps down and to hit the beats on a certain moment, because it was all timed very specifically to, you got to get to that door by this moment and then that door by that moment. But it was all, I think for that it was more about the freedom of it. And, to me, it was actually, it looked quite gorgeous, like you're watching this naked figure go through these massive rooms and look so free and loose and but yeah, there was a little bit of choreograph to go into it.
How many takes did you have to do of that to do?
I think 11. Okay. Emerald said. But yeah, I kind of forgot about that, because you're trying to perfect it in, and yeah, well, you kind of forget about the takes. I mean,
it's such an awesome scene. You mentioned Emerald, obviously. I think this is like she has such a great way, it seems, based on this film and Promising Woman with actors, I guess, like, and how was your collaboration with her as an actor, and like, how did that differ from maybe prior, other filmmakers you've worked with or whatever?
She just totally gets me, Emerald. Do you know what I mean? We were in sync totally all the time, and we chatted a lot about the character and motives, and and if I had a question, I'd bring it to her, and she was fully there for me, and she kind of gave me that license to be, I wouldn't say silly, but as an actor, you want that license to try something, because I feel like we've not seen a lot of performances because they may not have had the chance to, or they may not have been confident enough to try something because they're not comfy with it. But with me, I felt totally comfy with Emerald that I could try something, and it may work 100% or it may not work, but to have that and to be allowed to do that is every actor's dream.
Yeah, you mentioned before, like when we started, like how when you read the script, it was like this is like kind of like a role of a lifetime type thing. Having done it now, did that like expectation, did that pay off, I guess, for you?
Definitely. It I got to show like a whole range of stuff there with Oliver, and it's what I want to do is always just mature as an actor and commit and challenge myself and like rise to the occasion and learn about what I'm doing and grow and all of those things. So this definitely, I think I embodied that, definitely.
Yeah, and do you have like, I mean, I guess like the overall experience then I guess was like do you have like a favorite, like we were talking about all these challenging scenes, was there like one that stood out to you as like a favorite, I guess?
Yeah, I would be meeting the parents, I think, because it was the moment of just pure distraught and unease and awkwardness and weakness, and you got to really go against the Oliver that we've seen. So that was the most fun and I wouldn't say hardest, but it was the one that I kind of like felt I could really enjoy.
That scene is great too for I think Jacob as well. He has like one of my favorite lines of the whole movie is him being like, "Take a fucking pill" or something. Like he's like so mad, but he's still laughing.
The tension is so off. It's so it's so bad.
It's just like such a great sequence. How, I mean, like just like you and Jacob, seemingly seem like you have a great rapport. I've seen like on red carpets and stuff, and the chemistry you guys have, like I said, is just awesome. I mean, like, did you know him beforehand? I guess, and like had like no,
didn't okay. I didn't know him. I knew of him, but I didn't know him personally. He's just an amazing person, Jacob, and an amazing actor, and I had a really fun time like with him, and we're really close friends. I can just, be my entire self around him. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with him. And when you find an actor like that you, again, like what I was saying with Emerald, that gives you that license to kind of try stuff and, go places. It's just a breath of fresh air, really.
Yeah. Do you have we mentioned like a lot of this song, like I think you sing Pet Shop Boys and obviously Murder on the Dance Floor at the end. Do you have like a favorite of that era's songs, either in the film or that did not make it in the film?
Oh, do I have a favorite?
Yeah, from that era, like 2006. Yeah.
2006. Mr. Brightside. I think that was supposed to be in the film, right? Didn't make it in, but that'd be one of them. More on the dance floor, obviously. That actually was one of my favorite songs. So, yeah, those two definite.
Yeah.
And Flow Rider, yeah. Definite.
That's good too.
They're all great songs. They're all great songs.
Great. Block Party song. I was like that whole sequence is great. I thought that sequence is awesome too. With you when you go to the bar and stuff. This is a great film, Saltburn. You could see it in theaters now. Barry Keoghan, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks a lot, my man. Thank you.